Russia's 2024 budget speaks for itself. Around 40% of all federal spending will go toward defense and law enforcement. More weapons are needed for the battlefield in Ukraine, as the Kremlin is adamant it's not winding down its military campaign against its neighbour. Factories are switching to 2 to 3 shift working days to replenish arms supplies.
This is basically a war budget. I mean, the country is fighting a war, stocks are depleted, weapons and munitions and other supplies are being depleted. And so there's a massive buildup of military production and procurement.
Arms production can stimulate the economy, and Russia is no exception. But economists say social programs are underfunded. Although the 2024 budget increases spending on healthcare, education and housing, the military expenditure forces aside almost all other priorities, education in particular. And that could lead to Russia lagging behind other developing countries in the future.
What are defence costs? These are the costs of producing tanks, rockets and other munitions sent to the front lines, and then more often than not are turned into a heap of twisted metal. From the economic point of view, this is burned cash, because the final product is being destroyed.
Then there's the threat of a global arms race triggered by the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. While most arms control agreements between Moscow and Washington are more dead than alive.
Ukraine can't win an arms race against Russia on its own, but it's going to still have different kind of support from other rich nations, industrial nations. And that's not a very good scenario, because there's going to be a Cold War and arms race internationally.
Nearly 2 years into Russia's special operation in Ukraine, the economy is still growing, largely due to oil revenues. It's a sign of its flexibility and durability. Currently, the country manages to cope in spite of all the sanctions imposed by the West. The oil price ceiling is not working. The so-called Russian state capitalism is choosing, as former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher once said, to put guns before butter. Yulia, Shapovalova, Al Jazeera, Moscow.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.